Oh my God, do we have fans?
Good.
All right, the fans of the metaverse are here.
Amy, Dan, it's great to connect with you. So I've gone from one buzzword to another. The buzzword I want to talk about now is the metaverse. Everyone's talking about the metaverse, especially after Facebook rebranded to Meta back in 2021, which kind of opened up the floodgates that, you know what, this is here. But I want to ask you, first of all, what is the metaverse? Try to demystify it for me. Avoid the industry buzzwords and just kind of give it to me as it is. Maybe we can start with you, Amy.
Well, the first time the term metaverse was used in literature was Neil Stephenson's Snow Crash. And he defined it very elegantly, which was just, it's a fictional world made out of code. Okay, that's what it is at its base level. But I think the definition has sort of morphed and expanded to really the move from 2D to 3D and thinking about data actually living in the real world, connected to the physical world, and interacting with the physical world with sort of context and sort of spatial relevance. And so really it's just moving off of this 2D screen and bringing all of this data that we're all doing this and just put it out in front of us in our field of view. But we're a long way off from that happening from a technology level.
I have to agree with Amy on that. It's really the democratization of the creator economy, in my opinion, and really the 3D internet is how I explain it to people who are really new into it. And I think for us as an ecosystem builders, it's really about defining and distilling this technology so that it's something that people can digest. I think we always get stuck in all these terms within technology and we confuse people. We need to just really define that, and I think you did a great job of really distilling the technology itself and the future of where we're at in 3D internet.
Yeah. So what are some of the core technologies behind metaverse? I know you mentioned some of them, but I've been hearing a lot about virtual reality, augmented reality. Are we actually there where we can actually apply these things to a metaverse economy, or are these still just kind of in development?
It's a little of both. I mean, we have elements. I mean, anyone who's ever played Pokemon Go or used a heads-up display in a car on a windshield. I mean, that is augmented reality, and that's sort of on one end of the spectrum. And the other end, you have virtual reality, where you're in a headset. Meta has the most popular headset on the market in the Quest 2, but you're fully immersed, and it's a little bit of a clunky experience, right? You're wearing this giant, we're going to laugh at these bricks that we used to wear on our faces, in 25 years. In the middle is where I think it gets interesting in terms of like mixed reality, and but those devices on a consumer level, so you have the HoloLens 2 and you have Magic Leap, that really allow for digital content to interact and actually be spatially aware. So for example, if there were a digital ball here, if it fell off, it would bounce. If it rolled behind your chair, it would be occluded by the chair. And we just don't have that capability on the consumer level yet. So it'll be a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're still in the third inning of where this is going to play out. We're really building the piping to this foundation of the metaverse and virtual and augmented reality, but I really truly believe that we're at the technological revolution within frontier tech in general. We're seeing all these technologies intersect with each other: artificial intelligence, blockchain, Web3, and I really feel like we've got a really special moment in the history of technology, and we're probably about 3 to 5 years away from more of a consumer adoption curve to virtual and augmented reality. So we're all kind of waiting for this Apple moment to happen. I think it's still going to be probably about 2 to 3 years before we do see glasses that look like this, that have spatial computing within it, but I really do feel it's a future of communication.
Well, Dan, you mentioned the B word, that's blockchain. I've been writing a lot about metaverse, and there seems to be an infusion of metaverse, crypto, NFTs, and blockchain. It kind of seems to be its own space, all of it together. Can you explain to me the role of blockchain, crypto, NFTs in the metaverse, and explain how that would work?
Do you want to start?
Either way, that's fine.
I'll let you start.
Well, for gaming, it makes perfect sense, right? Because it sort of follows all of those behaviors. Skins largely acted like a digital currency in a way in gaming. Now with the advent of NFT, I think the challenge that we have now is that it's the Wild West. And, I think we're conflating what the value of the technology is for this sort of abject, land grab and money grab in these environments. And certainly, there have been estimates that this will be, a $1 trillion plus industry, which it will be, but we're creating this false scarcity in these digital environments with NFTs. To a certain degree with crypto, that's valid, but with digital real estate, it's not, right? It is infinite. And so the value system right now is very much arbitrary, and we're not pulling down the things that will give it value. Like, for example, a transparent exchange of value for data, right? Where we have self-sovereign identity in these digital environments. Instead of harvesting our data behind our backs, spending billions of dollars to big tech, who shall remain nameless, Meta, Google, et cetera. Oh, sorry, they didn't stay nameless. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. That they just ask us nicely. And they give us value, and that is where cryptocurrency starts to become really interesting in this digital landscape, not in trying to wrestle it to the ground and make it behave like fiat currency. Like there's another stable coin released today. Like why?
I don't know. I'm over stable coins after the past few months, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting in the time we're at, especially with this this bear market that we're facing right now. We're seeing this kind of transformation of the crypto NFT Web3 world. There's a lot of companies, even at this conference that just couldn't attend, or they had to lay off a lot of workers. But I think we're just going to see a correction within the industry, and we're going to see real players come out of this. Gary Vaynerchuk says it best, like 99% of the crypto Web3 market will fail, but we will get that 1%. Much like we saw in Web 2 with Google, Amazon, and eBay. And everyone's saying this is the crash, this is this doom and gloom vision, but we're still, like as I said, we're still kind of in this first kind of few innings of how this will play out. And really, this is the future of ownership and identity within kind of a digital realm.
Yeah. I mean, bear markets have a tendency of cleansing, right, and removing some of the over-exuberance from the market. So it's difficult to look at it now as being a good thing, but I think overall, the healthy projects will succeed, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of the metaverse economy, what will that actually look like? I imagine it'll be a combination of ownership, interaction, maybe commerce. Kind of walk me through what the metaverse economy will look like and how it'll create value for all of us.
Well, I think that part of the value lies in leveraging again this exchange of value for data, and that we can move to a different value system. Like the current economic construct is anchored in real world markets and market factors, but we can move to a system of value that is much more fluid and really just involves those people who are in the transaction. And so from an economic standpoint, it makes economists makes their head spin because they want to anchor it to something, but we're forgetting the human element of technology, and we're forgetting that the technology is here to augment sort of human existence. And I think we're just missing the point. And artists, this is a way for them to get paid, yes, but that's very basic. How do we add more intrinsic value, let's say to NFTs or to artwork, and use it as a base level to inspire instead of putting out an NFT and then yanking it off the market to artificially inflate its value like that? That's not adding value to all of us. It's creating value in the short term, and to your point, there's going to be a big correction around it, right? So we're not adding value.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, we really need to kind of see within the metaverse and Web3 more value. Like, we need to create value, and that what we're seeing with various brands, even at Shape Immersive, we're talking to global brands, and they're like, we want to build a metaverse. But the first question that we ask is why? Why do this? And what we're telling a lot of people who are building within this metaverse ecosystem is build with intention. don't just build for the sake of building, because we're seeing a lot of brand experiences, especially in kind of this early phase of the internet, or of the metaverse, and it's just shit. They're trying to replicate the physical world. But you're in the metaverse, you're not contained to physical structures or ways of thinking, and we can kind of transform that. And I always tell clients, think outside the box, because that's where we need to go. We can't think in this physical realm. It's a new paradigm shift.
And we can build, we can literally build anything in this digital landscape. We can simulate anything in this digital landscape. So to me, it's like, why wouldn't we build sort of an aspirational version of everything, simulate outcomes, put some AI behind it, like blend these technologies in a way that will have a meaningful outcome for all of us.
Yeah. So when we talk about ownership in the metaverse, it seems like NFTs will play a vital role in that, right? So there's more than just hype. I know NFTs have been hyped up, but if we're talking about actual ownership in a metaversal economy that could actually perhaps one day rival the real economy, NFTs probably play a role in that, right?
Absolutely, and tied to identity, tied to your avatar, tied to your wallet. And I sort of look at the self-sovereign identity as kind of the anchoring point, because today the way we engage with social media, effectively that's our public persona. But we will also hopefully have control of our private persona, our private data, and that is also going to be a key value element in this next economy. So it's not just about the creator economy, it's about leveraging our data and finding a value system that allows us to either monetize or create value for ourselves and our communities. But again, it's got to be anchored in a value system that makes sense for all of us, not just this like, oh my God, we're going to make billions of dollars, because who cares? Like the economics of the metaverse, don't worry about it. We're all going to be fine. We're all going to make a lot of money. Let's just be smart about how we go in and what our strategies are.
Absolutely.
I want to flip this to you. What do you think of real estate in the metaverse? Do you think do you think it's meaningful? Do you think it's real? Should we buy property in the metaverse for millions and millions of dollars? Yeah,
you can buy next to Snoop Dogg for a mere $500,000. Is Snoop really running his avatar? Like, really? Is it really him? No, again, look, it's an arbitrary system of value. We're placing value on a digital landscape that is in fact infinite. The reason real estate in the real world has value and rising value is because it is not infinite. And so why are we trying to build that same construct? There's a better way to do all of this. We just haven't cracked it yet.
Well, believe it or not, there are metaverse REITs now, real estate investment trusts in the metaverse. So for those of you who live in Toronto and you can't afford a house here, no one can, you might be able to afford one in the metaverse then, right?
Yeah, exactly. You get your full haptic suit, live in the back of a van, you'll be golden.
Yep. Are there any metaverse projects that you're particularly excited about? Any on the market now, any that might be coming that you think have some utility?
I think what I'm most excited about are the projects of the future. What is being worked on with Apple and Qualcomm, companies that haven't even released anything yet within the metaverse. But I really think that Decentraland, Sandbox, all these platforms like Roblox, for example, where you could see concerts in a virtual world. It's showing us the vision of where this is all going. But to be honest, I haven't seen anything that compels me to go into VR for 4 or 5 hours a day. I just haven't seen that. But what will happen is, something will come out, the killer app will happen, and it'll shift the consumer adoption into this new paradigm shift, exactly.
Yeah, I think for me, what I find interesting is just the merging of, entertainment, games, social media, and fashion in the digital landscape. And even looking at Fortnite and the events that they do with Ariana Grande, Travis Scott, you had 12 million people concurrently, watching that live. And the ability to create community. Those are the things that are pointing to interesting projects. But to Dan's point, a lot of the things that are being built today that aren't out yet are the things I think that will have the wow factor. I also really love that NVIDIA is invested in Omniverse. for business. So for me, that's the metaverse for business. It's what I focus on around digital twin and optimizing, building infrastructure, smart cities, because we don't get to smart cities without smart buildings, and that requires digital twin and BIM data. And so those are the things that I get excited about. It's not as sexy, it's not as exciting, but it's going to actually make our lives so easy, because that idea of having data live all around us, it has to come from somewhere, right?
So in terms of the metaverse economy and the impact the metaverse is going to have, how is the metaverse going to impact the world of work? Are we going to see millions of new jobs created in the metaverse, or are our jobs going to have a new interface in the metaverse, or is it going to be both? I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I think it'll start with sort of a little bit of a blend. I think we're already seeing a few companies, very forward-thinking, tech-forward companies, are using these virtual environments for especially collaborative designs, the automotive industry, for example. But there are jobs that I think we cannot even conceive of yet that are going to emerge. But everything that we do have in the real world, there will be a nod to it and or a digital twin, if you will, of it in the early days, because that's what we know. So we're sort of replicating what we know before we start to build this sort of expansive universe. But again, from an economics standpoint and from the future of work standpoint, the possibilities are endless. And I think we're missing also by trying to predict where it's all going to go, and forgetting that we actually do have some agency in how this all evolves. And what do we want what do we want in this digital realm? Like, what do we need from it? So.
I agree. It's really 2 points for me. This is going to open up a can of worms for the physical world, where it'll create new jobs to be able to build in these 3D worlds, and working in these industries to build startups and build solutions and products within the metaverse. But then also, once you get into the metaverse, there will be a completely new economy with millions and millions of jobs within, creating these communities of metaverse builders and creators, artists and brands, to be able to work within the metaverse. And I think it's going to change everything, and it's really exciting to see, just the new possibilities of more creative type of jobs. I think in the late 1800s, we saw that shift into this kind of, like from lamplighters, for example, elevator operators. Those jobs are going to go away, but we're going to get more creative jobs as we move into this new frontier technology realm.
Yeah, and let's not forget that we have a very good baseline example in Second Life. I mean, there were people who were making a full living creating and selling digital assets in what was then way ahead of its time, but now feels like a very clunky web interface and takes forever to load. But I think we can see some of the cues in the early adoption of this, in this notion of creator economy through Second Life. And now that there are so many great tools out there for creators, I mean, digital creation, now you've got even AI that can spit out art. Again, I think we're just at the very, very beginning. But I think that's an area that's going to ramp quickly, because the tools are out there, and you have a generation of creators who are digital native who will start blowing our minds with the things that they create.
Yeah. How big do you think is the generational gap between those who will understand the metaverse and those who will not? And I kind of draw an example with NFTs. Like, even for me, and I'm a millennial, I didn't really get the value of NFTs, but a lot of the younger generation, the gamers, they're all about it. They understand the power of virtual property. They get it. Maybe I didn't get it at the time. So do you see like a generational gap, and how do you think that's going to impact adoption for metaverse technologies?
Yeah, there's, it's like we talk about the digital divide, it's going to be a digital chasm. And, I think it's okay. I think the sort of evolution and this next generation coming up, I think we're going to have people who just want to check out of the whole thing and really want no part of it. And actually, as our lives are more and more digitized, I think you're going to find people who want to be fully off the grid, and I think that's going to start to be a choice. But I think like for my kids, they've both grown up with technology. They're already embracing it. My son was trading skins on from CS:GO in a roulette game, and then got translated into Bitcoin, and then would take it out through PayPal when he was 13 years old. Like, that kid he's bought in. Now, if he could only find like the 3 wallets he can't remember that probably have 20 or 30,000, well, now maybe let's call it $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, that would make me happy.
Yeah, I agree. It's the future really is within this new generation coming up. They were basically born with iPhones in their hands, and I think we're already starting to see the different concepts and different use cases that are coming from the Gen Z. TikTok, for example, very easily digestible content in like short bits of video and content. So I think Gen Z is really going to help shape this new kind of realm that we're in.
Well, I asked my last panel this because I can't not ask it, but the crypto market peaked at $3 trillion last year. We're now less than $1 trillion. Obviously, the current state of the market isn't good. Do you have any thoughts, opinions on the current state of things? Any words of wisdom you can share?
Well, I think I shared with you my cryptocurrency investing strategy, which is I've been buying crypto for a long time. And so I just visualize in my mind that I open a window, I throw a lot of cash out, and then if it intermingles with more cash and gets blown back into my flat, then I win. But as far as I'm concerned, it's in the wind. If I win, I win. If I don't, I don't. And I think you kind of have to have a cavalier attitude about it right now. But I mean, seriously, that is not financial advice. People don't, nobody write that
advice.
Down. No, but I'm still very bullish on cryptocurrency. Again, I think we're trying to wrestle it to the ground and into the sort of current economic construct, and I think that's the mistake. I think we need to let it be volatile. I think we need to find other constructs and value systems.
Yeah, for me, it's really about authenticity and intention. So, really looking at the ecosystem of like, how can I contribute to it? How can I build within it? And how can I, contribute to the broader community? Because really, we're still, like I mentioned, we're still in the early days of this, but it really is about collaboration and real projects, real tangible projects, and just really having that. That patience to be able to see it through, because it's not about making millions and millions of dollars. We're already seeing this crash happening within the crypto market. The ones that are going to succeed are the ones that actually have a meaningful problem that they want to solve and are creating with intention.
Absolutely. And I think the metaverse is there. Great. I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you.